Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Emma Amiad. I confess, when I first saw Emma, first thing that came to mind was not alligator wrestler. But as I was talking to her, it turns out she does this. She wrestles alligators to relax. And she was going on, she was saying, a massage is nothing compared to when you wrap your hands around the snout of some 14-foot gator who proceeds to take you on the wildest ride of your life. And I am just going to have to take her word for that. And we should take her word on this. Let us welcome to the stage with thunderous applause, Emma.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of you are campers. You've been camping, maybe RV, tenting, a few backpackers here maybe. I love camping. I camped all through my youth. I still do a little bit. And this particular time, I went off on my own. I usually went with friends, but I wanted to have a little adventure on my own. And there was this mountain. It was actually a really big hill, but it was challenging, and I wanted to hike it. So I got up early from the campground in the morning, headed out on the trail, and very quickly, all the greenery just sort of was behind me, and the only thing on the trail was rock. And the trail kept getting smaller, and the rock was more like slate. It was slick, and it was hard to get my footing. And I started slipping a little bit, but I was young, I was overconfident. I thought I can do this. But the further I went, the smaller the trail got. It was straight up on one side, straight down on the other. No greenery, nothing to hold on to. And I thought, this is maybe not the best thing I've done. Maybe I need to turn around and go back, and maybe I'll find a different kind of place to go. This looks like I could maybe slip and fall. So I turned around, and I lost my footing, and I started to slide. And it was really straight down. I looked down there, and I saw there was this huge boulder, and that I was heading right for it. And I thought, well, if I can get myself turned around well, I'll have my feet out in front of me, and my feet and my legs can act as a brake, and maybe I'll not kill myself this day. So I didn't make it. So I hit that rock hard on one side, and I heard a crack. I had broken my leg. I was laying against the boulder. I looked down. The boulder was sharp, and so it had ripped part of my leg and part of my clothing, and I was bleeding. And it took a minute of shock, and then I started feeling pain. Now, I want to point out, I'm over 80. This was when I was in my early 30s. No internet, no cell phones, no emergency beacons, no computers. There was no way to call for help. I hadn't told anyone where I was going. The people at the campground certainly didn't know who I was, or if I was away for the day or for 2 days. I was alone, helpless, and there wasn't any way to get help. So I laid there for a few minutes and cried and felt sorry for myself. And then I thought, okay, now what? I looked down, and around the other side of the big boulder, I realized it was only maybe a couple 100 feet more, and I would be on the ground, the flat ground, and that there were some trees there, and it was a different kind of setting. And I thought, if I can get myself on my belly, I can use my hands as a brake, and I can slide down, and I won't hurt myself anymore. So that's what I did. Of course, when I got to the bottom, I not only had a broken leg, I had almost shredded hands because those rocks had been sharp, but I was on solid ground. So I saw a big tree. I dragged myself over to the tree, and I leaned up against it. And I thought, what the hell am I going to do? I don't even know how far it is back to the campground. There's nobody out. It's so early in the morning. Even if I yell, they're not going to know I'm here. So I was feeling very sorry for myself. And suddenly there was a deer and her 2 fawns that came kind of into the opening where I was. And being a sarcastic person anyway, I said, could you guys, go get some help for me? Well, most of you have seen plenty of deer. They look at you with this sweet understanding look that more or less means screw you. And off she went, and I thought, well, okay then. And then pretty soon a rabbit came out of the greenery and hopped over there and looked at me, just curious. The minute I moved, of course, he just took off. So I just was laying there, and pretty soon I heard sort of crashing sounds through the greenery and through all of the forest, and then I saw a bear. A really big bear. She came out of the forest. She had 2 babies with her, 2 cubs. She saw me. She barked something at them, and they ran up the nearest big tree, which of course is what they do to protect themselves. And then she just sort of looked at me. Was I a hunter? Was I a dead body? What was I? And I just watched her, and I thought, I really hadn't planned on ending my life being mauled by a bear. I mean, this isn't what I thought was going to happen. But I was just sort of despairing. I just sort of sat there. Pretty soon, she started coming over toward me. And she started sniffing all around my body. She sort of saw the blood, saw the problems. And I just sort of stayed very still. Pretty soon she came all the way around to one side, and she laid down on her belly, flat, and stayed there. I thought, is she offering me a ride? Is she trying to save me? I had read that when the maternal instinct is really strong in any mammal, that they can be protective about anybody else, any other children, any other individuals, because they're just raging hormones that tell them to be protective. So I thought, well, what the hell have I got to lose? So very quietly and quickly, I did the best I could to drape myself across her. So my head and my arms were hanging down on one side, my legs on the other. She got up very slowly and carefully. She turned around, barked another order to her babies, and she took off. Well, we went through the forest. We came to a clearing, and I heard people's voices. Somebody yelled, "Oh my God, there's a bear!" And pretty soon a little kid screamed, and some man said, "Oh God, what's on that bear? There's a dead body on that bear." And I thought, not quite yet. Well, the bear decided she didn't want to go any further. I could understand that, so she laid back down, and I rolled off. She started to go back into the forest, and as she started to go back, she turned and looked at me. And I looked at her right in her eye, and I said, "You saved me. Thank you. I hope you live to be 100. And the next thing I know, because I must have passed out, I was in an ambulance. There were 2 medics in there. I had oxygen on my face. I had an IV in my arm. And the guy said, "God, this woman smells bad." And the other guy said, "She smells kind of like a bear." And I just smiled. And I took a big breath. And I let whatever good juice they had in that IV just take me away. Thank you.